Hi everyone, this is Sophie from Past English GCSE, and I thought I'd record this video to give some last minute advice to those sitting AQA Language Paper 2. Now, some of the tips I'm going to give you today will be relevant for other exam boards. I'm just specifically talking about the questions for Language Paper 2 AQA, which is an hour and 45 minutes long. As a student has asked me for some last minute advice, and I thought this would be useful for other people who want it when they're about to sit the exam. So when I say about to sit the exam, I mean, the night before or maybe within the week. Things you might want to be thinking about, or maybe you already know this stuff, but you'd like to be reminded. So I was sitting and thinking about this. What would I like to know as a student sitting the exam? And obviously I'm someone who sat a lot of exams. I've kind of had an interesting history with ending up doing more than one degree before I ended up then becoming an English teacher. So all in all, I've got 4 degrees. I've sat a lot of exams. I'm used to exams. So I figured that I can give you maybe some useful advice. And you can, cherry pick from this what you will, the best bits, the parts that help you. So language paper 2, let's assume it's an AM paper. That means in the morning. Different centres may start at slightly different times. You may find that some schools start at 8:30, particularly if they've got a large cohort, they want to get them sat down. Most places start at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's an hour 45. So it's going to finish. Okay, so 9 till 10, 10:45 it's going to finish. You're going to be sat there for an hour 45. Unless you're a person that qualifies for extra time, that's 25% longer. And if that's you, you'll know about that, okay? But I'm talking about timings for people or just on the standard 1 hour 45. I'm happy to post timings for questions for those on 25%, the extra time. I can put that in the comments for this video too. But assuming you've not got extra time and you've got the hour 45 minutes, what would I do? How would I sit it? Okay, so you sit down, you're at your little desk, you're feeling nervous. They say you may turn the page, you may start. First thing I would do, they allow you 15 minutes just to read that paper. Now, some kids tell me, adults, children, whoever this is taking it, it's mostly kids. Just because it's a GCSE, tends to be, most of the people I meet tend to be teenagers. But of the people that have sat this, they've said to me, differing responses. Some say, they don't need the time, I can read it in 10 minutes. Others, and a lot of them, and I would recommend you take 15. Read the questions first. That's my first piece of advice. Okay, you must read the questions first. All the questions 1 to 5, just read them. If you want to take a highlighter into the exam, that's fine. I believe that's allowed. And you can sit and highlight the question focus for each question. So for example, if it's question 1, choose 4 statements which are true. You probably don't need to highlight that. It's question 1. It's where you get 8 statements and you've got to choose the 4 that are true. Okay, so I would sit there and I would read all 8 statements before I've even read any of the sources, because with language paper 2, you get 2 sources and you're supposed to compare them in the reading section. Just a reminder, section A, questions 1 to 4 is the reading section, and section B is question 5, the writing section. The whole paper is worth 80 marks. It's an hour and 45 minutes long. So I would read all 8 statements. Question 2, you need to refer to source A and source B. Okay, that's always the case. And then it gives you a statement, and then it says use details from both sources to write a summary of. It could be the differences, the similarities. The way I would do this one when I come to it is by maybe making a plan of ideas, but it's only an 8 marker, so you're not going to spend loads of time on this. What I do is get my highlighter and highlight the question focus. So make a summary, use details from both sources to write a summary of, and that bit on the question, highlight, because that's what you're looking for, okay? And it just says source A and source B, so that means the whole of them, okay? But read the question really carefully, exactly what they want. Question 3 is the 12 marker. Now, this one should feel easy to you because this one is just like paper 1, question 2, except this one has 12 marks instead of 8. So again, you've read question 1, you've read question 2 and highlighted it. You're reading question 3. You now need to refer to only source A or whatever source it says, it's usually, one of them, from, and it gives you line numbers. Highlight the line numbers. You might even want to get your source before you've read it and write on it line number such and such, Q3, question 3. How does the writer use language to do something? Describe a character, create a feeling, whatever it is, highlight that bit. That's your question focus. How does the writer use language to? Highlight that bit. And then on your source text, say it's text A, find the line numbers, write Q3, and then what the question focus is. So when you come to read the text for the first time, you're already looking for what they want. It's the language question. 3 paragraphs for that, I imagine. So 3 things you want to look for. Turning over, question 4. This is the one that people find the hardest. For this question, you need to refer to the whole of source A together with the whole of source B. So you're now reading question 4. Compare how they convey different, it's usually perspectives and feelings about something. Again, question focus, you'd highlight the something, whatever that is. Feelings about children growing, feelings about, I'm making stuff up now, but you know, how they view travel, how they view this, how they both, there'll be a link between the 2 sources. It will be about the same subject, but they'll be in different times. Okay, it'll be different perspectives, but they'll have a link. They'll both be about traveling, children, something they've seen, whatever it is, it'll be matched by subject. That 16 marker, again, I would take the question focus. It's the whole of both the sources, so I just have it highlighted. Turn over. You're still reading the questions in this first 15 minutes, okay? You're not doing anything else. Highlighting and reading, that's it. Question 5 is the 40 marker, the writing section, and I always invoke TAP, type, audience and purpose. If you go on GCSE Bite Size, you'll see they use GAP, which is genre, audience and purpose. Genre and type, same thing. So you'll be asked to create a type of document, whether that be a letter, a newspaper article, a speech, maybe a diary extract. That's the one I'm looking at the moment. Article for a broadsheet newspaper, they like that one. Broadsheet just means that they want it to not be a tabloid. So it's got to not have a reading age of 10. It's got to be more advanced than that, okay? I doubt they'd ever ask you to write tabloid because it's just salacious headlines and pictures and, you know, it's almost a comic for adults. I'm not criticizing tabloids here at all. I'm just saying that I think you'll be asked, if you're asked to write an article, it'll be for a broadsheet newspaper. Okay, so the type of document is one thing. You need to highlight the type of document. You need to be clear what that is. TAP is in the mark scheme. They want you to evidence that you know what you're writing, because whatever type of document that is, that'll have certain conventions ascribed to it. You need to, this is just your initial reading. Who's the audience? If it's an article for a broadsheet newspaper, and it doesn't say anything else about who it's going to, just assume it's an educated audience that can read well. Okay, that's all you need, middle class audience. It might say to your local councillor, it might say to your headmaster, it might say to your peers. That would be your audience, okay? And all that means is you tailor your writing accordingly. So cultural references, for instance, you need to make sure that they are relevant for your audience. And your language. Always keep it formal, okay? You don't want to see colloquialisms in your writing. This is standard English. They want spelling, punctuation, and grammar to be tight, to be accurate. It must be paragraphed, to make sure that's good.